Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We'll make a start. Welcome to the fifth Lunch and Learn session in the series that RAP is hosting over the coming months. My name is Hugh, and I'm a specialist in food waste prevention working in the food system transformation team. And today I am joined by fellow team member Emma. So hopefully many of you will know of RAP and what we do, but I'll give a brief introduction to Target Measure Act for those who are new before handing over to Roshni Shah, who is here to present on how GS1 are transforming QR codes to future-proof your brands and products. We will leave some time at the end of the session for Q&A, so please feel free to pop any questions into the Q&A function. The session will officially finish at 12:30, but please feel free to stay on the webinar if you have further questions for Roshni or the RAP team. So RAP is a global environmental action charity transforming the world's broken systems for the benefit of the climate, nature and people. But how do we fix the broken food system? The reality is that none of us can do it alone, but collectively, all of us can take action on food waste. RAP's Food Waste Reduction Roadmap provides a simple, practical starting point through Target Measure Act. Businesses commit to setting a food waste reduction target, measuring food waste consistently, and using that data to act across their own operations, their supply chains, and all the way through to how they engage customers and support household behavior change through campaigns like Love Food, Hate Waste. To find out more about reducing costs and inefficiencies in your business or supply chain, talk to us about signing up to the roadmap or becoming a signatory to the UK Food and Drink Pact. A quick heads up for Food Waste Reduction Roadmap supporters and UK Food and Drink Pact signatories. We are finalising any changes to the data capture sheet and we'll be sending out an email with all the relevant information for this year's data submission towards the end of March or mid-April. For those of you new to the process or needing a refresher, guidance is provided on how to complete the sheet, and a slide deck on the do's and don'ts is available on the data capture sheet landing page. Please provide as comprehensive an answer as possible. This will enable RAP to better understand your business's progress in reducing food waste and reduce the number of queries requiring a response from you. Please also remember that all data shared remains confidential. Note the deadline for submissions is Friday, 12th of June, and please submit your data as soon as it is ready, which will help us manage the review of the data. If you're not aware, we are in the middle of Food Waste Action Week and are very excited as to the support and traction we are receiving in raising awareness of the role of citizens in reducing food waste. Convened by Love Food, Hate Waste, Food Waste Action Week is a nationwide annual citizen action campaign to focus the world's attention on food waste. This year, the focus is on making food go further, saving money, time and stress, while protecting the planet. We are encouraging citizens to prevent food waste, use up leftovers, and recycle anything that can't be eaten. To unlock more value from the food we already have, and by helping it to stretch further, reminding them that small, everyday actions make a big difference. Ending on Sunday, 15th of March, there is still time for you to get involved by promoting and sharing the assets. The campaign toolkit is available, which includes useful resources and guidance for food waste prevention and recycling, including key messages, visuals, and key statistics for your organizations to use. Please get in touch with us to discuss future collaboration opportunities for the other 51 weeks of the year if you are unable to support this week. I'm now delighted to hand you over to Roshni. Please don't forget to put any questions you may have in the Q&A function. Over to you.
Great, thank you very much, Hugh. So hello everyone, my name is Roshni and I am an engagement manager at GS1 in the UK. I have been working on this QR program for over 2 years now, which is crazy to say. But I feel like we're at a very exciting point in the transition and we are starting to see more and more of these next generation barcodes, I like to say, out in the wild. So when you're out shopping, or you get your food delivery at home, have a look at the products and have a look and see if they've got these next generation barcodes on them. So today I'm going to go through like a high level overview of the transition, what it means, how they work, the benefits, and then we're just going to do a little bit of a deep dive on how these QR codes can help to prevent food waste. And I've got some great examples from retailers actually around the globe that have implemented and got some really great learnings to share with you guys. So if you move to the next slide. Just before I start, I always like to do a quick overview of who GS1 are, because we like to call ourselves kind of the best kept retail secret that nobody actually knows about. So we are actually a global organization. So we have 120 different memberships all over the globe. Each one is kind of run independently, but we all use kind of the same set of standards, and we are a neutral, not-for-profit membership organisation. So in the UK alone, we have 62,000 members. We operate across a variety of different sectors, including healthcare and construction, but by far our biggest sector is retail, and actually 76% of our members come from that area. And that is everyone from your big grocers like your Tesco's, Sainsbury's, department stores, John Lewis, all of those guys, right down to kind of like small independent challenger brands that are just selling on marketplaces. So they've got quite a vast array of members. And what we're most famous for is the barcode that is actually scanned 10 billion times every day. So if we just move to the next slide, that barcode that we all know, we all love, it's on every piece of packaging that we see, was invented over 50 years ago. And in that time, it actually hasn't changed. And it actually, when I joined GS1, it was so interesting when someone like explained it to me, and they were like, oh, like we had the barcode, then the internet was invented, and like, you know, we've gone through this whole digital transformation and the barcode hasn't changed. So it's really stood the test of time. It's done a fantastic job, but it only holds one piece of information, which is that GTIN. And what happened about 5 years ago is GS1 globally got together some of its big members across retail, solution providers as well, industry bodies, to talk about the future of this barcode. Like, will it stand the test of time? What do we need to do to bring it into the 21st century? And what all of those people in that room aligned on was the fact that this barcode needs to hold more data. One, it needs to hold more data, and two, it needs to connect to more data. And that's kind of where the QR code powered by GS1 was born. So not only can you embed the GTIN in that QR code, so it will go beep at the till, so it does everything that the barcode did, but also you can start to embed additional offline information like expiry dates, batch numbers, serial numbers. And then on top of that, a consumer can scan it and they can access all of that rich digital content that you can create for your products or your brand. And at the same time as deciding, obviously, this is what they believe the future is, they also talked about a bit of a timeline, because it's great to have a new barcode out there, but if industry doesn't do it in an aligned way, it's not going to have the impact that it needs to have. So you will have heard the term, there's two terms, there's Sunrise 2027, there's Ambition 2027, and essentially that's kind of like the timeline that globally we have set out. And what we mean by Ambition 2027 isn't that the barcode's going to vanish and the QR code's going to take over. We believe by the end of 2027, the majority of retailers will be able to scan both a linear barcode and a QR code powered by GS1 at point of sale. So there is going to be a period of time where both of them will live in harmony. But eventually, years to come, we see that the linear barcode will start to die down, and we'll see more of these QR codes powered by GS1 on pack. And now, why are we seeing that acceleration now? Well, it's taken time for technology to kind of get up to speed, but GS1 have been working really closely with the solution providers, the hardware providers that get these barcodes on pack, to make sure that the systems and the processes and the software and the hardware is all ready. And now's kind of like the right time because all of those things are in place. So if we go to the next slide, why is this happening? You know, what's driving this change? Like I said, the barcode's done a great job for so many years. Why change something that's not broken? Well, the industry is changing. And there are several key drivers that we've identified. And probably one of the most biggest ones is around consumers. Consumers want to know more about their products. Where are they sourced from? Is it safe to consume? How do I recycle it? All of this information is, you know, really key, and it's things that people are already asking about products. So providing consumers with access to this information is going to be really key to this transition. And as I mentioned before, it's kind of connecting that physical product with that digital world that everyone's kind of interacting with. You know, the whole benefits of kind of omni-channel shopping are huge. So things like that are really going to be key unlockers. And the other thing that we're finding is just around, you know, connected products, you know, being able to like access, you know, especially with AI, being able to like talk to the product, understand what it does, what could it unlock for you. And then the last one that we think is going to be one of the biggest drivers of this change is regulation. And I'm sure a lot of you on the call live, breathe, eat, and sleep this. Regulation is asking for more and more information about that product on the pack, but the pack is going to have to get smaller. So being able to provide that content in a digital way is another really key unlocker for moving to these next generation of barcodes. So if we move to the next slide, what is a QR code powered by GS1? The first thing to point out is it's very different to the kind of normal barcode that you see on pack at the moment. So a normal QR code that you see on pack at the moment. Those QR codes that we're seeing on pack usually link to one piece of information. Once they're printed, you can't really redirect where they go to. The QR code powered by GS1 is created using something called the GS1 digital link. And that's what makes it unique. So that's the standard that GS1 have created. And it's the way that data is structured behind the QR code. So you'll see there in that grey box, that big kind of URI string of how that data is combined. And how it reads is, so at the start of the URI, you have your domain name, whether that's your brand's domain name, your retailer's domain name, and that is what will take the consumer to the digital content. And then after that, you can start to embed the additional information. So at a base level, you can embed the GTIN, so using things called application identifiers. So 01 means the information that's going to follow it is a GTIN, 10 means batch, 21 means serial. And you'll start to build out the data structure. And by doing it in this unified way, using the GS1 digital link standard, it means that it's interoperable. It means that Tesco can scan it and they can get the information that they need. It means the consumer will get what they need because they'll just go link to the digital content. It means your supply chain can scan it and extract the information that they need. So by using this defined structure that GS1 have created, it just enables that interoperability between systems. And then if we go to the next slide, the vision for the future is essentially that there will be one code on pack that will connect to all of these different bits of information and can unlock a whole world of possibilities. So you'll see here, we've kind of created this diagram to showcase all the different use cases that we're seeing people benefiting from by using these next generation of barcodes. So down one side, you kind of have all the kind of consumer facing stuff that you can unlock. So linking to brand and product information, you know, giving consumers access to recipes, more in-depth health and nutritional information, being able to flag up allergies really quickly. Offers and promotions is a really big one. Recycling information, you know, that list can go on and on. And then on the other side, you've got all the benefits, almost kind of like what I like to call the, commercial benefits that you can unlock by having richer data. So by embedding additional data points like expiry dates and batch numbers, you can start to unlock things like traceability, authentication, automated recalls and markdowns. And what we're going to talk today about is just around kind of like food waste and the different use cases within that this QR code can unlock. So if we go to the next slide, now I'm going to really kind of like, that's the world of possibility. And now I'm just going to pick out a couple of the use cases that we're seeing specifically are unlocking the prevention of food waste. And then I've got some great examples as well from different retailers from across the globe on how they're kind of embedding that into their processes moving forward. So I just pulled out the 5 kind of most popular ones that we're seeing. And today in my presentation, I am going to kind of focus more on that kind of retailer commercial side. But there is, and I'll say at the end, I think there's a whole world of possibility on the other side with consumers. And we're only starting to unlock that with kind of the introduction of AI and new kind of apps and platforms that are being created. But the first one, and the one that we're kind of seeing out in the retailers, is the prevention of the sale of out-of-date products. So by embedding an expiry date into that digital link, you can then unlock this use case. So you're in a store, you're buying a product, you scan that product. If it's out of date, it'll automatically tell you. I can't tell you the amount of times I've come home and I've opened my shopping up and I've been like, oh God, that chicken went out of date yesterday. Like, how's that happened? So being able to do that is really important, not only for consumer safety, but also for the retailers, because you might have seen in the news, there's a lot of fines going about for selling out of date products. And then on top of that, so now you've got that more granular level of information like expiry dates and batch numbers. That information can actually be fed back up through the supply chain to enable better forecasting. So right now, retailers have a real challenge on their hands on kind of like managing availability with prevention of food waste. But by having more data, more granular data about the products they're selling, you almost get a better forecast, which stops you from putting more products in store that you don't need to, almost kind of reducing that food waste at its source. The third one is around automated markdowns. And what I've seen is, retailers have different processes. Some are quite manual, some are more automated, but they're striving to make those processes more efficient because there's a lot of waste when it comes down to markdowns. And I think by, again, having these QR codes with that additional data in them, it enables them to streamline that process. So instead of it taking like a 3-step process to reduce the product, they can do it with just one scan of a button. I know that this product is going out of date in 3 days. Let's generate a QR code that has, the right price for the right time for that product. And then, yes, the other 2 are all around kind of like educating consumers. So, having that QR code, being able to link customers to, inspirational recipes on how to use that product, education on where that product has come from, how to store that product, how to check if it's going at, maybe on the pack it said it's gone out of date, but they're not too sure. Like, imagine being able to scan that QR code and it gives you a bit of advice on whether you could use it or you can't use it. So huge opportunities there. And then lastly, just around recycling of products. I know personally, I really struggle. I'm like, so many icons and logos, and I don't know whether it needs to go to my supermarket or it can go in this bin over here or that bin over there. So being able to scan that QR code and give consumers really clear and concise information about where that product, where that packaging needs to be recycled is another huge kind of benefit of using these QR codes powered by GS1. So now I'm just going to go through a couple of the examples that we've been seeing. So the first one is an example from Australia, actually, and they started this journey back in 2019. So when you think about it, it's a very long time ago. It's taken them like almost kind of 6, 7 years to get to this point, but they definitely saw a huge opportunity in having that granular information about their products across their fresh produce because they saw a lot of waste. So they actually they didn't use QR codes because back in 2019 QR codes weren't really a thing. So they actually rolled out with data matrices that had the GTIN, expiry dates, batch numbers, and that enabled them to do that stopping of out of sale products being sold at POS. It allowed them to make faster decisions and more informed decisions about what stock they were ordering in, reducing that food waste at its source. And then also really improve their stock rotation, because instead of having to like look for every single date on the product, they were able just to scan and just see, right, when is this product expiring? Should it be here? Should it not be here? Do we need more? Have we got enough? And the stats on the screen really showcase the benefits that they managed to unlock. So on the products that they have fully transitioned, so I think this was across their meat category, they managed to reduce food waste by up to 40% and improve productivity by 21%, which is really, really impressive. And definitely, I will say Woolworths were probably the one retailer that kind of led the way with this reduction of food waste within the retail sector. And then if we move on to Mercadona, so they actually started talking about QR codes back in 2022 and ran their first pilot in 2024. So not that long ago. But again, they saw the benefits that Woolworths were having and decided that, we've got an opportunity here. So alongside, the benefits that Woolworths saw, they also saw a big opportunity in streamlining their markdown process. So they had quite a manual markdown process. So they were like having to take products off shelf, type in codes, weigh products, generate labels. It's quite labor intensive and took a lot of time. So they weren't doing markdowns as kind of efficiently and as much as they wanted to, which was creating more waste because the efficiency wasn't there. So by embedding these QR codes, they were then able to really streamline that process and do almost like multiple markdowns a day instead of just one. So starting to really build on that stock rotation and making sure that they could sell through that product before it had to go to waste. They're really kind of, they've started on their meat lines, and I think they're looking to pilot across other categories now that are quite high risk. And then next up, we have obviously number one grocer in the UK, Tesco. So again, similar to Mercadona and Woolworths, they saw real benefit in having that additional data within those barcodes, so embedding that expiry date and that batch number. So they started to run pilots in 24 and 25, and now they actually have a handful of SKUs that have gone nationally that have QR codes powered by GS1 on them. You'll see me scanning there. That's a pack of sausages. So if you go into your local Tesco's, have a look. Their core sausage line now has QR codes powered by GS1 on them. And in addition to kind of like the out of date stuff, the better forecasting, the quicker markdown process, more streamlined markdown process, they have also seen really huge opportunity in educating consumers. So on those sausages, what they've done is they have linked consumers to information about how you can, recipe information about how you could use those sausages in different ways. And again, that's just the start, because as I said at the beginning, there's so much opportunity with consumer education here. So not only recipe information, but, checking when the product's going to go out a day, how to store that product, if it has an update, like what could you check for to see whether it could still be used. Imagine in the future that you could link it to like an Olio app so that someone can come elect it automatically. So there's lots and lots of opportunity with that consumer engagement with these QR codes. And then lastly, I just wanted to shout out Ocado, because they have been huge champions of these QR codes powered by GS1, and they haven't just focused on one use case. They've trialed multiple use cases. So they did a digital deposit return scheme trial a couple of years ago. They're also using serialized GS1 QR codes for a reuse system. So for their pasta rice, where the consumer sends back the box, it gets refilled. They get the new product to them. And then more recently, again, they have been using these QR codes to educate consumers. So one around kind of like that recycling information of the packaging, where does it need to go, how should it be recycled, but also to strengthen their commitment and showcase their commitment to sustainability through the product. So where are they sourced from, where are they grown, really giving themselves kind of like a point of difference to other retailers. And this is just, I know I've only had 20 minutes, but these are just kind of like a handful of examples that we're seeing that are out there right now. But I do believe like there is huge opportunity, not only from like that supply chain efficiency piece with the retailers that I showcased today, but then right down to how consumers are using those products within the home and how they view food waste in their homes. Because that's kind of where the majority of the food waste is created. And I do think there's some very exciting stuff happening with AI that's coming up, and these QR codes could be a huge unlocker to really tackling that food waste challenge at home. And that's it. Now open for questions in the 2 minutes that we have left.
Yeah, haven't. David, I'm not sure you'll be able to talk in this because it's a webinar. So can you pop your question in the chat, in the Q&A?
Try again. Well, David's busily typing away. Just a reminder of the case studies that we have available on the website, exemplifying the opportunities for savings in food waste, reduction in costs, highlighting the return on investment within short timescales, and the opportunities for surplus food redistribution. So they're just examples of, or great examples that we've collected and continue to collect for you to follow within your businesses and to share with your supply chain. And we're also developing the lineup for the next quarter's lunch and learn sessions. So if you'd like to hear more on a particular topic, have a suggestion, or would like to present on your progress, challenges, or innovations in reducing food waste, then please let us know. So I don't know whether that's given David enough time to put his question in, Emma.
I've got one question in. What are the main challenges faced by supermarkets in transitioning to these QR codes?
I think the biggest one is if they want to embed the additional data, it's really changing the way that that barcode is printed on packaging. It has to be done in line on a production line. So that's probably the biggest one. But a caveat to that is that we've been working really closely with the hardware and solution providers that do the printing, and they actually have the capabilities to do this. So even though it is a challenge, it is the way that the technology is moving, and we believe that it's in a good place to be able to print these embedded QR codes onto packaging.
Okay, I've got a couple more coming through. How do we ensure that the consumers get a better visual representation of what sits inside the barcode? For example, on date codes, we'll still need to print that on the pack as well as embedding it in the QR code. And with carbon footprint data, we might also need a similar visual alongside.
Yeah, and we're not with these QR codes, it's not replacing the human readable information. That human readable information still needs to be there because consumers still need to be able to see the date code on pack. But it's what you could unlock by giving almost personalized experiences, by being able to read not only the GTIN but the date code. So you're able to then flag up in the QR code. Imagine the future where you go, oh, you've just scanned that QR code, that product's going out of date in 2 days, you should do something with it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there, but yeah, it won't replace the human readable information that's on pack.
That's all we've got at the moment. So unless anyone's got any last minute questions, I'll go back over to you.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Roshni, for that excellent presentation. And thank you for those on the webinar for joining. Please don't hesitate to contact RAP if you'd like further information on how you can play your part. And it remains to me to wish you a good rest of the day and hopefully see you all at the next Lunch and Learn session on Wednesday, 15th of April. So have a great day and thank you very much. Cheerio.
Thank you. Bye.